Hi, this is Drew Hanish from Hanish Web, and today we're going to talk a little bit about Joomla 2.5 and how it's transitioned now to Joomla 3.4. So if you've used Joomla in the past and you've just had your website upgraded, then you may see what looks a lot different than what you had in version 2.5. Now, basically the change between the old version and the new version was more based on making the website work better in terms of responsive design. So if I shrink the page down, then you will see how this works. Everything sort of collapses and comes back up for your viewing pleasure. So um, basically, if you're on a mobile phone or if you're on a tablet, you should be able to update your website without having to scroll all over or zoom in or zoom out. That's what all this hubbub about responsive design is about. So that's the first big change. A couple other things that you'll notice: the control panel area looks a lot different. Things have just basically moved around to help them collapse where they need to. But there's a couple things to note here. And usually when I train my clients, what I'll do is I'll tell them, let's not worry about this control panel area, because for the most part, this is just quick start stuff, and sometimes it tends to move around. If you remember on 2.5, little icons would constantly, shuffle around depending on how big your screen was. So in this particular case, I usually don't worry about the control panel, but instead I'll train my clients how to use the drop-down menus up here at the top to be able to get to whatever they want to get to, because for the most part, Joomla stays pretty true to those. But we'll look at the control panel right here, and you'll see that we have some quick start items. Joomla, WordPress, kind of like Microsoft Windows and Mac, they're sort of growing together. Each are learning from each other, and they're trying to make their interfaces a lot simpler to use. So that's the case here with Joomla. Basically, they've added a lot of quick start buttons here for you to be able to create a new article just by clicking there, or go to your article manager. If you need to set up a user, you can click right here. So global config is there. There's lots of stuff you can get to pretty quickly. Otherwise, this area is just basically informational. So your top menu is going to remain the same. One of the things that's going to happen is when we go in now to look at Article Manager, we're going to see that things have moved around a little bit in here as well. Your buttons look a lot different. There may be some new buttons in here that you haven't seen before. Probably one of my favorite new additions is version control. If you don't have version control turned on, then you can come back over in here and turn that on. Basically what it's going to do, and there's sometimes a little bit of hunting to get in there, you can tell it how many versions that you want of your articles, and that way when you go in and want to edit an article, if you publish it, you've not lost it for good. You'd be able to go back and find a previous version of it, and we'll do another video tutorial on that in the future, but it's kind of a nice thing. You also notice that the layout and the buttons and the menus all look a little bit different. A lot of the icons have disappeared, and again, you have your buttons here with a little bit of a different look. Something I'm probably not so much a fan of, and we'll get into it when we walk into the articles themselves, is how they chose what was going to be the green button, which really draws your eye. It's not always the main button that you want to click, but we'll talk about that once we get in. Another thing is, you probably were used to using filters in the past to be able to search through tons and tons of articles to find something. So if I go in here and I type in list is something that I want to search for, because I have an article I want to correct that has list in it, then I can click on this and I can find the article that I need, the specific one. But what you will find is you still need to clear this, otherwise you never get back to your full list, even if you leave the articles area and then come back to it. So that's something to keep in mind. And you're saying, well, where are all my other little tools? Because I used to be able to go in there and filter things. Well, you can still do that. Just click on the search tools button, and then you can select by category if you want to, or you can select by what level it is, what the status is, where your trashed items are at, that sort of thing. You should be able to find those fairly easy through there. Another thing to keep in mind is that your submenu items are over here. So a lot of people sometimes will just keep coming back up here if they need to go to the category manager or the feature articles, but those are also available over here on the side for you. Now let's go ahead and I'm going to clear this and I'm going to click into one of my articles. And when I get into the article, you're going to see a little bit of a different layout here as well. A lot of the items that used to be over here on the side are now up here in tabs up at the top. So if you need to set a start publishing and a finish publishing date, they're under the publishing tab. If you need to update your meta description, your meta keywords, you can do that right here. And click on your next one over here, and some of the settings for showing titles and that sort of thing are all under the options menu. So again, you remember over on the side you used to have an expanding contracting list of these. They've moved these to the top again to make them a little bit easier for mobile phone access. Over here are some of your main features that used to be up above all of this, such as published or unpublished, what category do you want to put it under, whether it's a featured article or not a featured article, public or if it's registered, and they've added tags in here, so that's kind of a nice little addition as well. You will see on this version that we're using the JCE editor, so you may have a slightly different looking editor than this. Your alias is right there, and here's that little versions button I was talking about. When you click on that, you can actually go back, and if this page had been rewritten at one point or another and edited, you would see a list of up to 10, because it's what we set it at, versions of that page that you can preview and then restore if you want to restore. So no more major mistakes that you can't recover from, and that's a really nice part of that. Understand though that versions are not turned on automatically. You need to go in and set that up to be able to use that feature. So this is where I was talking about where I probably would have made the save and close button the green button, because that's the one you're going to use the most, but the save button is the one that is green on here. So mainly that's what you're going to find, just a slightly different layout when you get in here. You still have your ability to feature an article if you want to. It just looks different, that's all. There's a little drop down menu here as well. One of the main things that throws a lot of my clients off is, how do I move these things around? My old set of buttons over here that allowed me to say this is number 1, this is number 2, this is number 3, those are gone. What do I do now to be able to shuffle these articles around if that's how they're displaying, especially in a blog or something like that? Well, there's a little button right up here, and you're going to click on that, and that's going to activate ordering. And now the oohs and ahs begin, because this is a drag and drop system rather than you having to go in and mess with trying to put numbers by everything. So just what you want to do is you want to grab it by the handle. You'll see the little icon show up there to show that you can just drag it and drop it wherever you want to. And the nice part about this is you don't have to save anything. Once you move it, the ordering has been changed and you're all set. But just remember, you always have to click on this little ordering thing to activate these, and then you can make any of the changes that you want to make. So otherwise, everything else in here, if you go to module manager, so on and so forth, everything just looks different. Your filters are over here in this particular case. I'm not sure why they shifted them around from one spot to the next. But, you know, from version 3.4 up, I'm sure we're going to see some things adjusting in here a little bit over time. And again, it's part of the reason why I'm a big fan of using these menus up here to dig around to get to where you need to go. Other than that, I think it's basically something you can stumble around in and probably figure out your way. You know, a couple items may have moved here or there, but for the most part, I think you're going to find that this is a much nicer version of Joomla, that things are really advancing now, and you can have a great time working with this very version. So good luck to you, and if we can help you at all with your web needs down the road, just let us know. You can email us at info@hanish.com. Thank you, and have a good day.